Dave, when the news broke, I had this thought. I said, Lamar Jackson, your seat is getting hotter. Because the Ravens have now given Lamar Jackson what many people have asked for on behalf of Lamar. Lamar hasn't necessarily asked for it because we haven't heard him ask for much. But on behalf of Lamar Jackson, what has been asked for? Man, get rid of Greg Roman, offensive coordinator. He holding Lamar Jackson back, albeit Lamar Jackson was unanimous MVP under Greg Roman. They got a new offensive coordinator. Man, get Lamar some wide receiver help. Do something through free agency, they said. Well, they've now paid Odell Beckham roughly 3x his value in the open market. Odell took to Twitter 3 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, and he said, I'm not asking for 20 mil, but at least more than 4 mil, leading us to believe he had offers of $4 million. You can see it on your screen, and now he got $15 million guaranteed. But, Dave, here is what not many people are talking about.
Go on.
Without Lamar Jackson, who's the star that you're going to go watch in Baltimore? I'm not going to go watch defense. I'm not going to go watch Roquan Smith. I would, obviously. I'm not going to go watch Kyle Hamilton. I'm not going to go watch All-Pro Marlon Humphrey. Who am I going to watch if Lamar's not there? Well, now that Odell's there, people go to watch Odell. You should know better than anybody as an LSU alum, and Odell went to LSU.
Go Tigers.
I know very well as I had to play against Odell, and I was not trying to play. I didn't care about Eli Manning. I didn't care about Andre Williams. I didn't care about an old Peyton Hillis. Odell Beckham is box office. I think the signing adds pressure to Lamar Jackson in more ways than one. What say you?
You're going to pay good money to go watch Odell get his cardio in? Just run routes? Nah.
They did in Cleveland.
How'd that work out? How long was he there?
Tickets were sold.
Sure. Didn't have a very happy ending. I balk at this because the Ravens did what they're supposed to do. Congratulations for signing talent to play with your quarterback. Like, do you want a medal for this? This is what you're supposed to do. We talked all through the season and the playoffs that the Ravens were one of the most talent-poor offenses in the NFL. So they've actually done things about it this offseason. They added Nelson Aguilar as well. They've got Odell Beckham. Cool. You did what you're supposed to do. All of a sudden, the Ravens look like they have a nice offense, except they don't have a quarterback. In fact, their quarterback requested a trade.
That did happen.
I got that right.
That did happen. Yes, sir.
Requested a trade. It's on, like, I think this puts pressure on the Ravens because all of a sudden, especially when you consider the draft is right around the corner, the Ravens are going to have a chance to add some talent, assuming they don't do something crazy like draft a quarterback. All of a sudden, the Ravens, with Odell Beckham in the mix, and I went to LSU. I'm going to give Odell the benefit of the doubt. I assume he's got plenty of gas left in the tank. If that's the case, the Ravens look like a team capable of making some noise if they can get their quarterback back on the same page, which he is not right now. I know asking for a trade can be a negotiation tactic. I get that. But they got to get back to the table and give him an offer that he feels good about. Otherwise, what did you do this for? That's why I said that. If Lamar is not in the building, we saw what this offense was with Tyler Huntley at quarterback, like 13 points a game. Do you want Odell Beckham running 30 post routes with no catches to show for it every week? And by the way, love him though I do, Odell is a guy that wears his heart on his sleeve. If they don't find a way to get Lamar in the building, you think that's going to sit well with him? You think he came here? I know he got a lot of money, but do you think he came here to run 60 routes and catch 2 balls for 10 yards? He didn't. I think this puts a ton of pressure on the Ravens to figure this out because they have the makings of a nice team, and it means nothing if they can't get their quarterback back in the building.
Joy, where do you stand?
Yeah, I agree with Dave. I think it puts pressure on the Ravens. I mean, it's a great move. I love it. I want them to do more because obviously part of the reason why Odell had the success that he had in Los Angeles was that he wasn't the #1 receiver. So he was able to play the type of play that Odell plays right now. He's not the #1 receiver. He is an option that you can take advantage of if you have someone like a Cooper Kupp on the other side. So they still have more work to do, and they have some young pieces that they can get healthy and get back out there, and who knows what they'll do in the draft. But who's throwing to Odell? Who's throwing to Odell? That's all that matters. Now, I am assuming that Odell and Lamar Jackson had some conversations before this deal went down. So obviously Odell felt comfortable signing this deal, but also the $15 million probably helped a little bit, but felt comfortable signing this being a dependent player. after talking to Lamar Jackson. So I actually am kind of encouraged by this. I think it's a
step in the right
sign
direction, yeah.
that things may actually be moving in a positive direction for Lamar staying in Baltimore, because I don't believe that outside of the money, obviously, that Odell would feel comfortable signing here, not knowing who's going to throw him the ball.
Here's why I think Slick has an immense amount of pressure now on Lamar. If my friend agrees to do something that I am up in the air about doing, whether it is, hey, Dave, Joy, y'all trying to go to dinner? And they're like, yes, we're going. We're already on the way. You know what, Acho? We just got here. That puts a little bit more pressure on me to go. Furthermore, if I'm contemplating going somewhere, I always want to know who's going to be there. Joy invites me to a house party. Who's going to be there? And who's not going to be there? Oh, Greg Roman not there? Okay, bet. Oh, you said Odell just showed up? Oh, I'm there. So there's more pressure on Lamar, because if my friend, associate, close friend, just committed to go play somewhere where I am presumed to be the quarterback, there's a little more pressure athlete to athlete. Not that I will make a $230 million decision because of my friend, but there's a little subliminal pressure on Lamar, especially after posting a picture, to say, you know what, if Odell has committed there, I don't want to go back on any potential word I gave Odell. That's what I'm thinking. You covered several athletes. You have opinions. What do you say?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm grateful that I just get a peek into how you set your social schedule, so that I know going forward what I need to do. I need a headliner if I want Emmy to show up at my party. No, I believe that there is more pressure on Lamar now for two reasons. One, to sign, because where's the public pressure from the Baltimore Ravens faithful going to come from? You needed more weapons. We gave you more weapons. We went and got Odell Beckham, right? They're not going to care whether Lamar gets paid what he thinks he should get paid. They want a team that's going to compete. So that's going to add the pressure there. The other pressure is going to be when Odell and Lamar get on the field, which is to make Odell look like what we expect him to look like, which, not being from LSU, I'm not convinced. Well, I don't think he's a number one anymore. So what is he going to be? And if he does, and he looks less than that, when he looked less than that in Cleveland, who did we put it on? We put it on Baker Mayfield.
Of course we did.
We didn't put it on Odell.
Yes, sir.
And he demonstrated that that was the accurate placement by what he did with the Rams. That's the last we've seen of him. So if things go a little sideways, even though he's missed a year, if they go sideways in Baltimore, are people going to put that on Odell, or are they going to put it on Lamar? So I think it's, you know, there was a lot of ha-ha and kiki between those two when Odell signed. If I was Lamar, I wouldn't be that excited right now unless this signing was just the hors d'oeuvre. And there is an agreement already in place between Lamar and Baltimore that they wouldn't have done this if they didn't have that in place. That's the only way in which this doesn't put more pressure on Lamar.
See, I just think in this day and age, too, I've been doing this too long. Players are more in tune with each other than they ever have been before. Like, Lamar Jackson has done 7-on-7 college football, training for the draft with so many of these players. That's why the admiration for these guys is as strong as it is a lot of the time, because that's a guy that you've worked with in the offseason, that you've talked to, that you've asked for advice. I think Lamar Jackson and Odell Beckham, better than like anybody, understand, like, hey, I'm here, I'm excited to work with you. You got to do what's right for you. Like, Odell Beckham just dragged this thing out from October of last year until now to get what he thought he was worth. Remember, like, we started talking about Odell before Halloween.
True.
And it's after Easter. It's April. It's mid-April. He's going to understand the situation of, you got to do what's right for you. I go back to the Cowboys because it's where I worked. DeMarcus Lawrence had a line. Cowboys signed him to a $100 million contract. They had to juggle that along with Dak Prescott's deal. And DeMarcus Lawrence made the prescient point of, it's not my responsibility to figure out how the cap works for you. It's my responsibility to earn and to make what I'm worth. You don't think Odell Beckham understands that? That's why I don't foresee any tension in that regard. And that's why I think it's on the Ravens to say, hey, we now have good-looking skill players. We've got Odell Beckham. We've got Nelson Aguilar. We've got Rashad Bateman coming back. We need a quarterback, and it's on them to make that work.
Here's what's fascinating, though, and I challenge everybody viewing at home, along with everybody at the desk, to let's have this dialogue now. It's, what team will do more for Lamar Jackson than the Ravens have attempted to do? I would say none. because no team has attempted, not necessarily impacted, but no team has had the same intent that the Ravens have had to help their quarterback. The Ravens, since 2018, when Lamar Jackson were drafted, have drafted 7 skilled players in the first 3 rounds. That is more, or as many, as any team in football. Second to, or tied with, the San Francisco 49ers. So on top of that, not only have the Ravens drafted as many, if not more, skilled players than any team in football since Lamar was drafted, now you just paid Odell Beckham 3 times as much as he probably would have gotten in the open market. So now we've gotten you a new offensive coordinator. We've gotten you a wide receiver that's a superstar. I don't know about talent, but for sure by name, and I believe by talent, my own personal opinion. And we've drafted as much help in the first 3 rounds. On top of that, we've given you the 2nd most guaranteed money in all of football, and we've given you the 2nd highest total value contract in all of football. What else could you want?
Well, doing your job, thank you for doing what your job is to do.
Better than everybody.
No, not better. Tried. Trying is not the same as not succeeding.
Trying
is one thing. Succeeding is something else.
Trying harder than everybody.
You can try hard and not succeed also, which is mostly what they did. So congratulations and you're welcome. Thank you for doing your job. That's their job. That's not Lamar Jackson's job. Lamar Jackson has to play as well as Lamar Jackson can play. He is not responsible for putting pieces around him. That's the job of the front office and the ownership.
Sure.
So don't you're welcome for coming to work today.
Right.
That's the bare minimum of what you're supposed to do. That's the exchange of those services. So I hear you that they are trying, but they aren't actually doing that good of a job because they haven't all panned out. But you should give your quarterback help. That's what you're supposed to do. They also haven't signed a contract, so they didn't give him anything. Earned, by the way. They're not giving him out of the kindness of their soul. He's earned this deal. The deal is not done, though. So for all these other things that Lamar Jackson can be the people can say, oh, Lamar should be happy about this. I don't have a contract. Well, our contract's not done. Right. That's the whole thing. I have not signed on the dotted line, so there is no deal. The deal is not done. Here's
what it truly comes down to, and I don't know, maybe because I didn't play at the LeSean McCoy level, maybe I just have more humility as it pertains to earning money in football. Aaron Rodgers begged for skill help, begged for it, and got none of it. Instead, they actually drafted a skilled player. His name is Jordan Love to replace Aaron Rodgers. Patrick Mahomes, since 2018, they've drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round. They drafted Mecole Hardman, and they drafted Sky Moore. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who got replaced by 7th-round Isaiah Pacheco out of Rutgers. Mecole Hardman, who now plays for the New York Jets and did not re-sign in Kansas City. And Sky Moore, who was most known this season until the Super Bowl for fumbling punt returns. So, and they let Tyreek Hill go. Imagine if that was done to Lamar. Ooh, imagine if Lamar had Tyreek Hill, they let him walk, and the only help you would have given him in the first 3 rounds was Clyde Edwards-Helaire, first round, I will not call him bust because I don't want to use that word, but underwhelming player. Yeah. A player who was most known until the Super Bowl for fumbling punts, and a player who has now not even signed the 2nd contract with the organization. I just don't know what else you could want, Slick.
Well, I can't help but feel, and maybe this has been my view of this all along, which is the Ravens are trying to position this so that they don't have to pay Lamar Jackson anything more than they want to pay him. And they have all the leverage to do that with the non-exclusive. Because no one has offered anything out there to counter what they offered him. And as this goes along, and as they add pieces, and as they prepare this team to be ready for next season, to be better than last year, and put more around him, it only increases the pressure. Come on, Lamar, what are you doing? Get on board. They offered you a good contract. The ins and outs of whether it's what he deserves as a result of being a league MVP
unanimous
3 years ago, the fan base doesn't care about that. I'm going to say that the media doesn't care about that at some point. They're going to say, look, they overpaid to get you Odell Beckham. You were excited to have him there. Why don't you want to come play? And I understand the business of it. But for me, the Ravens are trying to create this leverage. And I'll say as a whole, I can't help but feel that Odell at this point is a little bit like my feelings about Las Vegas. When I think about Odell, I'm like, oh,
don't do it.
We got Odell.
Don't do it, Slick.
Right? And when I think about, I'm going to Vegas. And then I actually get to Vegas, and I got to walk 9 miles across the lobby, and it's 100 degrees out.
Not 9 miles.
And and there's traffic on the Strip, and I can't get from one place to the next. And I'm like,
My man was on his way to being
I'm in
Super Bowl
Vegas.
MVP.
Yeah.
Like, he was on his way.
It's been a year, and I've seen, like, people are like, well, the workout videos look good.
Yeah, but have you ever won in Vegas, Slick?
I need a little bit more than that.
It's different. It's different when you
It's a lot more fun when you win in Vegas. Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.